We will reward slowly to observe what happened with our Earth while we will lose our home. This is an Earth image that was made by Tom Vincent. It will give a cloud-free view of the Earth's surface. All of the land masses accurately portrayed show the comfortable boundaries. The nature gives the abundance to humans for living, and all of a sudden, the population increased rapidly. We are putting more pressure on the earth. This puts pressure on food and the water demand. It puts pressure on valuable natural resources. And this pressure is one of the reasons why we have seen all the devastation of the forest. This is the border between Haiti and the Dominican Republic. Much of it comes not only because of cutting, but also burning. Almost 30% of all the carbon dioxide that goes up each year into the atmosphere comes from forest burning. A number of very reputable scientists have said that one fraction of air pollution is burning of foods for human activity. The scientific and technological revolution is a great blessing. It puts pressure on expanding of economy and industry. It is causing that we burn a lot of fuel for our lives. We burn fuel in factories, gas and oil for routine activity, and burn coal for more electricity. We are destroying the most vulnerable part of the Earth's ecological system by filling up that thin shell of the atmosphere with pollution. Carl Sagan used to say if you had a big globe with a coat of varnish on it, the thickness of that varnish relative to that globe is pretty much the same as the thickness of the Earth's atmosphere compared to the Earth itself. The sun's radiation comes in the form of light waves through the atmosphere and heats up the Earth, and then some of the radiation is absorbed and warms the Earth. Some of the radiation is reflected back into space in form of the infrared radiation, and some of the outgoing infrared radiation is trapped by Earth's atmosphere and held inside itself. It will keep the temperature of the Earth within certain boundaries. But the problem is, the thin layer of atmosphere is being thickened by all of the global warming pollution that's being put up there, and what that does is, it thickens this layer of atmosphere. More of the outgoing infrared is trapped, and so the atmosphere heats up worldwide. That is the global warming. So the changing all these patterns is also affecting the nature and humans' ability to live on the Earth planet. In the Arctic, this, of course, is the Arctic Ocean. The Arctic is one of the two regions of the world that is experiencing faster impacts from global warming. There are now two major studies showing that within the next 50 to 70 years in summertime, it will be completely gone. When the water gets warmer, it speeds up the melting of the ice, so there is a faster building up of heat at the North Pole, in the Arctic Ocean, and is generally faster than anywhere else on the planet. That's not good for creatures like polar bears who depend on the ice. A new scientific study shows that, for the first time, they are finding polar bears that have actually drawn swimming long distances to find the ice. The temperature increases are taking place all over the world, including in the oceans. And of course, when the oceans get warmer, it causes stronger storms. One often unnoticed effect of global warming is it causes more precipitation, but more of it coming in one-time big storm events, because the evaporation of the oceans puts all the moisture up there. When storm conditions trigger the downpour, more of it falls down. If the ice mountain broke up and melted, this is what would happen to the sea level in the world. Many countries that are the low countries absolutely devastating. All kinds of unusual catastrophes like a nature hide through the book of Revelations. There are a lot of flooding worldwide. Think of the impact of 200 million, or more people were underwater. How do they live when they're displaced by an environmental event. We could really miss the Earth that what we take for granted might not be here for our children. Everything that has ever happened in all of human history. This is our time to this issue.
Sun naturally gives off heat radiation. Some of this just goes into space, but some comes to the Earth and warms up the planet. This is our only natural source of heat, and without it the world would constantly be in sub-zero temperatures. When this heat radiation reaches Earth, it is absorbed. The Earth then gives off some heat radiation of its own. This is radiated into space, but some of it gets trapped in a layer of greenhouse gases just below the atmosphere. It can't escape, so stays in the Earth's atmosphere, making the Earth just that extra bit hotter. With this happening over and over again, the Earth is sure to heat up significantly. So what are these greenhouse gases, and how did they get there? The atmosphere is made up of the following gases. 6% is nitrous oxide, 14% comes from CFCs such as aerosols, 18% is methane from things such as agricultural fertilizer, 12% is ozone, which helps protect the Earth from dangerous radiation from the sun, so this is good to have in the atmosphere, and a whopping 50% of all the greenhouse gases are carbon dioxide. Some of these gases are there naturally, like ozone for example, but most of the other gases were put there by us. We make those gases during our everyday lives, through cars, factories and power stations. A recent study in Germany showed that 5% of Germany's total CO2 output was from domestic heating, 15% was from power stations, and 20% was from industry. And a massive 60% was from transport. Cars, lorries and trains are all destroying this planet of ours. The amount of CO2 could naturally be reduced by planting more trees, but we're doing the opposite. We're cutting them down to make way for even more polluting factories and roads. So all these things put together make up the greenhouse effect. So called because of the way the heat is let in but can't escape. It's exactly what happens inside a greenhouse. We know what the greenhouse effect is. What will be the end result? Not all bad things come with a greenhouse effect. The hotter climate, countries that are already hot will now become unbearable, and more here in the UK. The hot weather isn't all fun though. The heat will cause a lot of the glaciers in the freezing Arctic to melt. This will cause more water in the sea, and with the heat the water will also be expanded so the sea level will rise by up to 5 meters. As this scene from the film The Day After Tomorrow shows, many of the world's major cities will sink beneath the waves. This map shows the UK as it is now, and what it will be like in 2050 if the predictions are found to be true. Several of the major cities that will be drowned or affected are London, Edinburgh, Middlesbrough, Bristol, Preston and Carlisle. They will all suffer severe flooding. Well, should we be worrying about global warming? The answer is of course yes. We need to do something to reduce the number of greenhouse gases we produce. This can be achieved by using cars less and taking public transportation. We can also use more renewable power sources instead of burning very polluting fossil fuels. And planting more trees will help to reduce the amount of CO2. The film The Day After Tomorrow shows what could happen in an extreme way if we don't do something to stop these greenhouse gases. For those of you who haven't seen it, here's a little taste of what the future could look like for this precious planet of ours.
Acid rain. Any precipitation or deposition having a pH lower than 5.6 as a result of contact with airborne particles will have an adverse effect on flora and fauna on which it falls. This is called acid rain. In a simpler form, acid rain can be defined as a rain with a pH of less than 5.6. When rain falls across polluted air containing several acid-forming substances in higher concentration, acid rain is formed. Among the chemicals frequently occurring in polluted air at higher than normal concentrations are sulfur oxides and nitrogen oxides. In some cases, hydrochloric acid vapor and mists of phosphoric acid and other acids may also be present. These gases dissolve in falling rain, making it more acidic, and it leads to acid rain. As it includes snow and fog as well as rain, it is sometimes called acid precipitation.